All right, we got another fun guest. If you listen to the pod, you know my good friend, my good hobby friend, Paul Hickey. We've done several joint podcasts together, so it's kind of cool doing it in person.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so and I know we tried to meet up yesterday, but I was so busy.
Yeah.
So let's start there.
Yeah.
We've both been to Fanatics Fest in 2024. Now we're back in 2025. Any differences you see, or the vibe different, or is this the same as you remember last year?
I mean, like you said, comparing Friday to Friday. Okay. Friday 2024, basically empty.
Right.
I literally went to someone's vendor table that wasn't even there, and I just pretended to be them, got my cards out, and was like a fake vendor. And that's how empty it was. Yeah. And there wasn't even people buying my cards when I was a fake vendor.
Right. I didn't know that story.
Yeah, I did that. You know I'm ruthless.
Yes, you are. Scrappy, ruthless,
maybe scrappy is a better word.
Okay.
I'm not like really
You're not
a
mean.
jerk or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
But I look for the opportunity.
Sure.
And Friday 2025, packed, like jam-packed. And I think that's great for the hobby. You know, positive takeaways, great for the hobby. I think it's last year, I think we all talked about, okay, this could be the beginning of a crossover where you have fans crossing over into hobbyists. This year, I'm seeing more signs of that. And just real quick, we can talk more about this if you want, segueing into card prices. That's another difference between this year and this year at Fanatics Fest 2025 and any other card show. What you're seeing is, the last card show I went to is Culture Collision, so I haven't been to a card show in about 6 months. But the prices at Culture Collision in January 2025, you could get stuff under comps, you could package stuff together to get it further under comps. It was more like a regular card show that we all expect. Bigger local card show. And I think even the national can be that, but this year's Fanatics Fest feels like it's purposely trying to not be that. It feels like every vendor has everything sticker priced 20 to 30% over comps. And not that they're not willing to come down, but it's almost like I don't see as many value boxes as you would expect. I don't see really any dollar boxes. So it has a higher end feel to the pricing and not as many deals on cards.
What do you think of this?
Okay, I'm glad you asked. I was super confused, maybe even a little frustrated yesterday. But we're talking on Saturday, day 2 of the show. We're halfway into the day, maybe less than halfway into the day. And I've heard that from the top, I don't want to say Michael Rubin said, because that's probably not true at all. But I've heard that vendors were asked to price, it wasn't written down, but there was a meeting of sorts. And vendors / breakers or whoever had to pay to set up were asked to price things at a higher end because of the quote-unquote clientele that was going to be at an event like this. Maybe I'm inferring that could mean that it's in Manhattan. It could mean that there are parents bringing their kids to an event and they're not as familiar with cards. So they're not going to haggle like we are. They're not going to look for deals. They're going to say, okay, well, my kid wants this card. How much is it? I'll buy it. $70? That seems great. So I don't want to say what I really think this could mean in the future. I don't think we're going back to 2020 or 2021 or anything like that. But what do you think? Do you think that if that is true, and I don't know that it is, if that is true, could that mean that prices go up a little bit from that?
I'm glad you asked me that because on a previous pod, my friend Daryl, who's set up upstairs right now, we're talking about how he was preparing for Fanatics Fest and compared to his experience last year at Fanatics Fest setting up. He just mentioned that a lot of the high-end cards weren't really transacting as readily as he would have expected at a big show like this. And we hypothesized that because there are so many sports fans, not card collectors, but sports fans that are just kind of stumbling upon the hobby in a sense. They might see the 2,000, 3,000 sticker price. They're like, okay, I didn't come here to spend $2,000 on a piece of cardboard that I had no idea what's going on at Fanatics Fest. I came here to see my favorite athlete. So maybe the smarter play for this year is to have actually lower to middle end cards for those parents that we're talking about. So it's funny how depending on the perspective, like maybe non-rookie MJ, lesser popular insert card for $50 to $100 might be more appealing to someone that just comes to your booth or where you're set up.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, 50 to 100? Yeah, sure.
Exactly.
Right? Instead of like a PSA 8, 86 Fleer Michael Jordan rookie, right?
Yeah.
So I think hearing that, it's like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe there's a couple of things at play here that we're not totally aware of.
I think I think those are combining, like you're saying, where it's like I'm seeing definitely mid-range cards. Like it's not, I'm seeing like super high-end and people kind of showing off a little bit.
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of mid-range cards. They're just priced too high. You know what I mean? Like,
I get it.
50, like it should be 50, but it's 80, or it should be 200, but it's 275.
Right.
Which drives people like us a little nuts because like we're not like we know what's up.
We know
with
the comps,
that.
yeah.
Like we look at comps, but like
Yes.
I've only bought 4 cards. 2 of them were like lower end Otani cards, and then one was a Wemby Topps Chrome base auto, 2023 Topps Chrome base auto. And I got all of them for slightly under comps. And then the 4th card I just bought today was a Topps Chrome. It's like I guess it's like kind of an insert within Topps Chrome called like the certified auto, and I got it in a PSA 10. And I looked up comps, and comps were between 14 and 1600, and I got it for 1300. So here I am saying everything, but I asked the guy like, where are you at on this, and he could kind of tell. I was different than the guy standing next to me. The guy standing next to me was buying cards for his kids. So I'm watching this happen, and there's 2 kids, probably 7, 8 years old, a boy and a girl. And they're like, I want this Cade Cunningham. I want this, I don't know what the other player was. And the dad was just like, sure, $70. And then, like, I look at the vendor, and I'm like, where are you at on this? Like, actually. And I couldn't find a comp. I'm like, and I said, do you have a comp on this? Which I think triggered him to say, okay, I'd be at 1300. So he came down for me. So it's just a different, like, I don't really see that at any other card shows, do you? Where it's like, I'm next to someone who's just like willing to pay whatever. It's like in any other card show, everyone is like comping everything out.
Agreed. And I think it speaks to what we're just talking about, that because Fanatics Fest isn't explicitly just a card show, you're going to have different kind of clientele, different kind of consumers. Yeah. And then you got to have like, use one side of the brain for these kind of people, and then the other side for, this guy's, Paul Hickey's a card collector.
So maybe I shouldn't be frustrated at the sticker prices. I should do more talking to the vendors. That's probably my takeaway.
That's the lesson we learned right
exactly.
now. But no, it's interesting, you bring that up. Other than, just the busyness, we're talking off air, how it seems a lot crazier this year. On IG, Fanatics Fest, their account just posted that the Saturday show, today's show, is completely sold out. I don't think it's sold out at all last year. Like, you still get tickets the day of. So the fact that it's sold out, I'm expecting a lot of people here later today.
Have they announced any numbers at all? Like what that actually means?
Not
I wonder
yet.
if they will. I wonder if they'll say.
Speaking of numbers, I went to the Michael Rubin, Travis Scott, Tom Brady panel yesterday, and they were talking about the art of collaboration and partnership. But it was interesting. Michael Rubin, I think he's just talking off the cuff, but he mentioned last year's Fanatics Fest lost $15 million, but he didn't see that as a detriment to, it was more of like, how many partnerships do we create because of the event? We're back bigger than ever this year, despite the fact that, the P&L shows 50 million under. So it's interesting. I don't know. Maybe.
It sounds like when I first started flipping cards. I lost 50 million
That's how we
my
all
first
felt.
3 years. And then I'm like, but I'm building something here.
The good
But that's
old,
interesting though.
Pandemic hype, but no, So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what the numbers will be afterwards. I don't know if we'll get that data.
I would love it if they, because we know they're competing with the National, right? I mean, that seems like what they're doing. I think they're, maybe competing's the wrong word, but I think they're definitely trying to be different, but also compete a little bit. And so I wonder if they'll be like, hey, we've got this amount of people.
I don't know. I think at the same time we talked about how they can kind of work together, not like work together as partners, but the fact that what Fanatics Fest could be good at is introducing people to the hobby because of this kind of unique setup. And then people that are introduced to the hobby could be maybe not in August of this year, but the following year, if they get deeper into the hobby, like we both know how we can get deep into the hobby pretty quickly, they might be interesting to go into like a more of a dedicated card show like the National is, versus Fanatic Fest, which is part card show, part sports fan events, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it could work that way, but I don't think they're going to deliberately be partners.
Right, I
work
agree.
together.
I think that's a good point.
So,
One
yeah.
other thing that I like about this event is you can come in and get a lot of free stuff.
Yes.
I mean, you can get like free tennis rackets, you can get free chicken fingers, free Starbucks. I mean, you don't get to pick what you want. Like, you can't go up to Cane's and order what you want, but you can walk through the line. I mean, like, we talked about me being scrappy earlier. Like, I would literally, if I, say, needed to justify my little P&L for the trip, I would walk through the Cane's line 10 times and mark that as like, okay, well, that's probably saved me $50 in chicken fingers. Free chicken fingers.
I didn't know that. So after this pod, I'm going to go to Cane's and get a free lunch, right? But
yeah, you can play Pop-A-Shot at Starbucks and get a free cold brew.
Yeah. Oh, really?
You can literally get free tennis rackets mailed to your house from I forget the name of the company. But anyway.
A lot of free stuff. I got free headphones, wireless headphones.
Did you?
Yeah, just like you said, you scan the QR code, sign up for their newsletter
Where
or
are the
whatever.
free headphones? We'll have to talk about that off the air.
It's like New York something. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
I'm going to sell those on eBay, everybody.
Well, speaking of selling and flipping, we will be remiss if we didn't talk to the Sports Card Strategy host about flipping. And last year you sold the Cactus Jack
Yes.
for a nice tidy profit, and this year they had the Cactus Jack again. I got a box this year, luckily, unlike last year, and I flipped it for $1,100 to Dave and Adams. It cost about $500 retail. So I got a nice profit, but you did a little bit better. And then I was going to ask you on air, because there's a Fanatics Fest exclusive Top Series 2 baseball and the F1 exclusive box that was just released today. So what was your strategy for all three of those boxes? How did you do?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I was literally like one of the reasons I wanted to come back this year was because of those releases.
Exclusive drops,
yeah, because one of my best flips ever was the Cactus Jack box last year. I talked to you and Hyung about that, and so I was hoping they would do it again this year. They did. My strategy was, getting in the EQL, which for those of you that don't know is just the online way that they handled the organization for signing up, paying. They would pre-charge your credit card if you won the drawing. And I laugh with people about this who are outside of the hobby that ask me about this event, where you to buy a VIP pass, then you get the ability to win a drawing for the ability to then buy something. But the Cactus Jack box, to your point, was I think around $560 USD after taxes and fees and everything. And my strategy was to get the earliest pickup time, because typically that's when like the most hype is. So the earlier pickup time was between 10 a.m. and noon, and I got it. And credit to Dave and Adams, because my plan was to walk over to Dave and Adams and sell it to them immediately. Well, they did that so much last year that this year they had a sign up with what they're paying for it, which was very helpful. So it was $1,200 that they were paying for it at 10 a.m. There were people lined up already at like 9:30 trying to get it. So I got mine around maybe 10:30. There was a gentleman who was standing in front of Dave and Adams saying, "I will pay you $1,250." And I said, let's do that. That's $50 more. And so I literally held the box, and I take pride in this. I held the box of Cactus Jack cards for a total of maybe 90 seconds before I made $750-ish net profit. And the reason I like pointing out to people how long I held the box for is because I think sometimes, and you and I have hit on this a little bit in our joint pods, but sometimes like you'll make a play, but it's a lot of work. Like, you might take a lot of time like packing and shipping a bunch of stuff. if it's a bulk play, or you might hold on to a card for a long time so you have your money tied up in that play. The thing I like about the Cactus Jack is like, yes, I have to fly to New York to get it, but I'm here talking to you and other people, and it's a fun trip. But I get paid for like literally doing nothing, like clicking a button on a website and then walking 3 feet and getting $750 profit. So that's my favorite thing. The other two dropped today. I was able to get them both at the same time, package them together, sell them for $850 total, when all in on each I think was $670, something like that.
So you packaged it together and sold it to
another gentleman standing in front of Dave and Adams.
I have to go to like Dave and Adams. I'm gonna hang out at Dave and Adams if you want a Top Series 2.
Dave and Adams is doing well buying a lot of these and selling them, but there are people standing in front of Dave and Adams offering $50 more, which I recommend finding those people. Because that pays for the blaster boxes that we bought that nobody wants.
Right. Well, at least
That's not true. That's not true. People want them.
I could see, I was telling my friend that we bought 2 blaster boxes as well. I could see people wanting it that couldn't make it to New York.
Yeah.
You know, so
for sure. There's a market for
eBay
anything.
Yeah.
And to that point, like I was telling you off the air, my co-host on the Sports Card Strategy Show, Kendall Lefty McKee, who's a big baseball guy, he needs to meet you and Hyung in person. He is selling on eBay all of his VIP gift bag items one by one, which is hilarious. The little Fanatics pin that's in the gift bag, which I didn't think any human would ever want, I think has like $15 on it. The baseball has like, I don't know, $20 on it. So when you add all these things together, and this is how weird we are, Clark, there's free energy drinks being given out as you walk out of the arena. We're not selling them, but we are. Like, he wanted to buy a Celsius, which, I don't know, $5 here probably. Well, you didn't have to buy the Celsius because there's free energy drinks as he's walking out of the arena back to the hotel. So I said on your little profit and loss sheet, like, add $5. You didn't have to buy a Celsius.
That's hilarious. It goes all the way back to what we're talking about, free stuff. Yep. If you're here for that,
that's right. Full circle on the free stuff.
Yeah. No, it's so I still have my Top Series 2 box. I still have my F1. So other than hanging out at Dave & Buster's hoping to get an extra $40-$50, I'm thinking of maybe it's there might be an eBay online play because the profit isn't as big for those latter 2 boxes. And I think it's probably because the Cactus Jack is a lot more limited than the Top Series 2.
And I think something with the Cactus Jack is going on where dealers want them, like dealer tables want them, and I think they might be selling them to breakers.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I think.
That makes sense. That would make sense. It's always fun talking with Paul Hickey, connecting with them. We've been busy a lot, like for the past month, so we couldn't.
It's my fault because we moved. We moved, which to any of you who have ever moved, now you get it. Why Clark and I haven't talked in a while.
It worked out because at the same time, I'm just finishing up my basement renovation. Okay. So I'll have a new studio space once I furnish it. Nice. I'm going to buy, with the Cactus Jack profits, I'm going to get a nice desk and TV. So that's on my purchase list. So anyone that sees our StreamYard clips, you might see a new background soon from my end.
That's awesome. Clark, I admire you for many reasons. One of the many reasons I admire you is that you get a media pass for this event.
Yes.
And I forget to apply for that, so then I have to buy the VIP.
Yeah.
I reminded
you though, just FYI.
You did remind me this year, which I don't know what happened. And you were like, hey, you getting the media pass? I'm like, I already bought the stupid VIP thing. What reminded me of that is like you have more profits from the Cactus Jack box than I do. Right. Because I have to count my VIP pass as a cost. For those of you who don't know me, like you can tell our show is very much about like profit and loss. So
which, to be fair, a lot of people coming into the hobby, that's what they're interested in the most. So and then other people are collecting, and I think that's why our joint pod works. We kind of meet in the middle. so to speak.
And you guys are more entertaining and funny, and that helps
it's
too.
just-
So
We're just Canadian goofballs, so that's in our personalities, I guess. But
love it. Love it.
yeah, thanks
Thanks
Paul.
for having me on.
Yeah, for sure, and we'll connect online soon, anyways. But
All right, cards to the moon, baby.
Sports Car
Let's go.
Strategy Show.